Hallmarks of rock and roll culture is its ability to tee people off, and Skid Row singer Sebastian Bach certainly qualifies as a rock and roller in the time-honored mode. We visited Bach recently in the New Jersey home where he seldom has much time to reside these days, and here's the kind of guy we found him to be. With the hard rock acts of the 70s and 80s now growing somewhat long in the tooth, New Jersey's Skid Row, fronted by singer Sebastian Bach, has helped return the music to its snotty adolescent roots. The group was started in the mid-'80s with Bach, a Canadian who was working in Detroit at the time, joining in 1987. Skid Row's debut album went top 20 in 1989 on the strength of such teen-oriented hits as Youth Gone Wild and 18 and Life. The band has toured with Bon Jovi, Aerosmith, and most recently Guns N' Roses, and its latest album, Slave to the Grind, went to #1. But Bach has provoked storms of criticism too, first by wearing a t-shirt that said AIDS kills fags dead, then by injuring a fan during a concert brawl in Massachusetts. Unusual behavior for the son of a well-to-do artist who was born in, of all places, the Bahamas. Your parents were hippies, right? Can we say that?
Yeah, I guess you could say that.
Did you grow up with their music? I mean, did you have that like pounded into your head?
Yeah. I can remember watching my aunt and my mom make French fries, singing, "Let me stand next to your fire," you know, all this stuff. You know, what is that? That's rock and roll, son. Or driving in a van, listening to my dad sing, "This is the end," not realizing the lyrics. "Father, yes, son, I want to kill you." Dad, what is this all about? Jesus. That's Jim Morrison, boy.
God.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
I wonder, was there ever a point where you came home one day and you were with a new Motorhead album or a Kiss album, and your folks said, "This isn't rock and roll"?
Oh yeah, my dad used to yell at me all the time because he liked punk rock in the late '70s, and I was into heavy metal, and he thought heavy metal was. He used to say, "Heavy metal is capitalist. Why don't you listen to punk because it's socialist?" And I go, "It's too many ists for me, man." You know, now I know what he was talking about, but at the time, because he thought that punk had something to say, and heavy metal didn't. You know, it's kind of weird now because he sees that in the '90s, you know, a lot of the same energy from punk has come into hard rock and given it kind of a kick. You know, because it needed a kick after the '80s.
Definitely.
Yeah.
When did you start getting into bands? I mean, do you remember when your first band was?
Yeah, it was at private school. I was singing in the shower one day, and I was singing a police song called "Walking on the Moon." And
in the shower. Okay.
Yeah, one of my buddies heard me, and he said, "Why don't you sing for our band?" And I go, "I never sang, you know, in front of, you know, people like rock and roll before, you know." And I did it, and suddenly, you know, the tall, geeky, greasy, pimple-faced guy that nobody wanted to talk to suddenly had tons of friends. You know, I said, "Hey."
It's a miracle.
Yeah.
You bought this idea.
Oh, as soon as I did that, I knew that's what I wanted to do. We used to play bars and stuff. Nobody would sign us up there because Canada doesn't really sign heavy metal bands. But so I quit that band, and then when I was 16, I moved to Detroit. Real nice town.
Which must have been very different. How long did you stay in Detroit?
I got out of there pretty quick. Yeah, and I said, if that's what America's like, I don't, you know. But then I met these guys, and it was very cool.
Were you supporting yourself all along?
Yeah, I was singing beer commercials in Toronto at Sounds Interchange, the studio.
What kind of beer were you promoting?
Schooner beer. It's a Canadian one. Sounds Schooner, eh? Can I have a beer? I gotta go out. I gotta go. But I used to do that. I thought it was you know, had a real good thing going there. Singing beer commercials, getting paid for it.
Good bucks, right?
Yeah, you do get paid quite a bit doing that.
You could have made a career out of that.
Yeah, maybe I still will. But yeah, that's what I was doing, and I was getting a lot of offers to join American bands at the time, but I was just really happy, so I didn't want to. And Skid Row sent me a tape, and I'm going, "Oh, man, I hope this really sucks," you know, because I don't want to leave doing this, right? Put it in, and I heard Youth Gone Wild, and I go, "Damn it, it's great! Jesus, now I got to make a decision," you know. But the more I listened to it, I said, "Man, that is some serious music."
The guys in the band, you have to sort of work on your relationship, or has everything been pretty smooth? I mean, everybody understands that, you know.
Well, at the beginning, because of the way this music industry is set up, it's like I'm sure people don't, you know, like rock fans don't realize this, but who's ever single gets released gets money, and who's don't doesn't get anything. That's fair, isn't it? And all that. What we did with our second record, we said everybody is equal.
Yeah.
And that way you focus more on the record as a whole and the band than your own personal interests. So that took care of a lot of stuff, and the attention that I had got as a frontman, at the beginning was kind of strange. But
in what way?
Well, just because they want to be in the front, obviously, But I think every band goes through that.
Yeah. Had you ever met a guy named Rachel before?
Not a guy. No, I hadn't.
What sort of name is that?
A girl's name.
Well,
I call him Sophia Loren sometimes. But
why is he named Rachel? I've never been
I don't know, but it was
out.
really cool because when I heard their tape and they sent it to me, they put a phone number in there and I called him up and I said, "What's your name?" He goes, "Rachel Bolan." I go, "Wow, heavy name." Sebastian Bach, Rachel Bolan. Bachin' and bowling, rockin' and rollin'. I can see it now,
Just another name. Huh?
But no, he's very into punk and Mark Bolan.
Monkey business, monkey business, ain't your business. Monkey business, monkey business, ain't your business.
People say, "What do you guys do backstage with Guns N' Roses?" I say, "Knit macrame. I play chess. Have a couple mean checkers game, man. Woo! Get pretty out there, crazy. Ah!" See, people don't know how to treat personalities that sell a lot of records, but then remain true to what they were before. They expect them to be big, but they expect, "Get out of my way, put out the red carpet." But if you show up in a Volkswagen to the club and you're like, "Ah," they go, "Oh, well, how does he sell those records?" But that's what I love about this tour, because it's like the '70s. For the first 3 weeks, we didn't have a record out. They didn't have a record out for the whole thing, and it was selling out all over the place.
Yeah.
It was like the spirit of rock and roll, because the spirit. I'm sure you remember going to concerts, in the '70s, and when I was growing up, I used to go to concerts. I used to get the ticket, and I used to go through the thing, and I was like being baptized. It's like, oh my God, I'd be shaking the whole time, and there was this insane feeling every time you went to a rock show that I haven't experienced in a long time. That we kind of brought back a little for this tour.
What was the trial in Worcester like for you? I mean, was that just the world's biggest hassle? First, you have to wear a suit, right?
Yeah. Well, when you go to jail, it makes you think.
Yeah.
And I said, all this that was just an emotional reaction at the time, because at the time I didn't have any distinction between playing an arena and playing CBGBs.
Yeah.
And if I was playing CBGBs and I did that, Kurt Loder wouldn't have been talking about it on MTV, because it didn't matter. But if you can't do that. You can't jump in there and kick somebody's ass. I'm not going to do it again.
Yeah.
If it happens again, I'll just walk off the stage. I mean, I'm on probation right now for physical assault, and if I punch, one more person, that's it. No more Skid Row. So somehow I really don't think that's worth it.
Yeah. So you're reining yourself in.
Control your demons tour. That's what I call this. Control your demons. They come out, get down, boy.
Let's talk about this AIDS shirt, because I think that's pissed a lot of people off, or angered a lot of AIDS activists. What was going on there? You show up in a photo wearing a shirt that says "AIDS kills fags dead."
Right. Well,
surely there's a story there.
I mean, this is it won't seem. You won't believe this probably, but at the time, I swear, I did not know that anybody gave a flying whatever what it said on my chest. You know what I mean? That was like the introduction into responsibility for me.
Yeah.
And actually it really hit home, because one of my friends is a homosexual in New York, and a really, really good friend.
Yeah.
And he just let me know exactly what it meant to him, that shirt, and I felt like Fred Flintstone in Mr. Slade's office. Whoop! I shaking down in the chair.
What, did he call you up and explain that?
No,
this is
he
really
got me
bad?
backstage, and he was mad.
Yeah.
And he had every right to be, because a lot of his friends died, and that's not cool making fun of that.
Yeah. Where did the shirt come from?
So, it was thrown to me on stage. I didn't even know what it said. I put it on, and I said, this sort of,
So it doesn't represent your sympathies along
No,
those lines.
I mean that's, there's nothing funny about death. I already said that.
you think things have maybe gone too far and
But
everyone's
you know what?
losing
You
their
know what
sense of
also
humor?
nailed it home was walking down the street and having a 12-year-old guy in a Skid Row shirt come up to me and goes, "Hey, I hate faggots too."
Oh.
And I went, wrong. You know,
Jeez.
that's a very wrong vibe to put out to people.
Yeah. So you think more about these things.
Oh yeah.
I would imagine.
Unfortunately, yes, I do.
Jesus. You had a son recently. Let's talk about him because he's really cute. I thought. What you decided not to? You were told, I guess, not to tell people you had a kid. But now
Yeah,
you've come
I mean,
out
it was,
and said you had.
you know, there's something really, really strange when you respected, like, the people that like Skid Row respect us for being, like, honest about everything, you know, and playing music that is honest and, you know, not a big scam or a big front or anything.
Right.
So I found it very hypocritical when I would have my son out to see a show that I would have to go in a different door in a hotel than him. And I said, this is over, man. I don't care. You know, they said, oh, but all these chicks, you know, they really dig you. And I go, they're not stupid. You know, they don't want to be, like, treated like a bunch of idiots.
Yeah.
You know, I think that people underestimate the intelligence of rock fans. They figure, like, the people at record companies figure that they want to hear the same song written by the same guy with the same lead solo, with the same chorus, with the same lyrics. You know, and every front man is a rock hunk, and you know, he's in Doom Metal Stud Monthly, you know, and you can't have kids, can't be a human, you know, all this stuff. People are people, man, you know.
So are you plagued by fans here at all? I mean, this is pretty remote where we are.
Sometimes, yeah.
How do they find you?
I don't know, man. I get calls from, like, Alabama and Texas and
How do
Japan.
how do they find your number?
I don't know. All you hear is this. Sebastian there? Who's this? Click. I'm like,
So you change your phone number a lot.
Yeah,
I
once
guess.
a week. Well, I have a goofy line upstairs and a good line down here.
What's a goofy line?
We give it to the goofy people.